Have you ever just stopped and thought about how a single word can mean two, sometimes completely different things? It's kind of wild, right? How does our brain not just get tied in knots all the time? Well, today we are going to crack this linguistic mystery wide open. So here's our game plan for this little investigation. We're going to start with the puzzle itself, then we'll take a peek inside what's called our mental dictionary to look for some clues. After that, we'll identify the two main types of word twins, we'll look at each one, and then finally, we'll get to why any of this really matters. Okay, first things first. Let's set the stage with the puzzle of meaning. And to really get it, we're going to start with the word that every single one of us thinks we know. Okay, the word is bank. What is the very first thing, the first image, that pops into your head when you see it? Go on, lock it in. I'm willing to bet you pictured this, a financial institution, right? A place you put your money. Simple. Easy. But what if I told you that is only half the story? Because, of course, bank also means this, the land right next to a river. Same spelling, same sound, but a totally different thing. And that right there is the core of the mystery, isn't it? How can one little word live two completely separate lives? Is it just some random coincidence? Or is there some kind of secret connection we're missing? And maybe more importantly, how does our brain just handle this, like instantly, without even breaking a sweat? To crack this case, our first stop has to be understanding how our minds actually file words away. This brings us to what you can think of as your own personal mental dictionary. So linguists have a term for this. It's called the mental lexicon. Now, the most important thing to get here is that this isn't just some messy, random list of words. Oh no, it is a highly organized and interconnected system. So I want you to think of it less like a list and more like a huge, sprawling web. Every single word you know is like a little node on that web, and it's connected to tons of other related words and concepts. For example, take the word dog. The second you hear it, it's not just sitting there alone in your brain. Your mind instantly lights up all these connections to pet, bark, four legs, animal, loyal, you name it. This lightning-fast network is the real secret to how we speak so fluently. Okay, so if our mental dictionary is so organized, how does it deal with a troublemaker like bank? Well, this brings us to our two main suspects in this case, the two different kinds of word twins. And this is the question that really splits our entire investigation in two. When you have a word with multiple meanings, are those meanings actually related? Do they share some common ancestor? Or is it just a case of pure random coincidence, where two different words just happen to look and sound the same? And this brings us to our two culprits, homonymy and polysemy. With homonymy, the shared word form is a total accident. The meanings are completely unrelated. But with polysemy, the meanings are actually relatives. They're connected by some kind of shared idea. Let's take a closer look at each one. First up, we've got homonymy. This is our imposter case file. These are basically two totally different words that just happen to be wearing the exact same disguise. So with homonymy, there is absolutely zero conceptual link between the meanings. None. It is purely an accident of linguistic history that they ended up sharing the same form. And homonymy actually comes in a few different flavors. You've got homophones, which sound the same but are spelled differently, think two and two. Then you have homographs, which are spelled the same but sound different, like the heavy metal lead and the verb to lead. And then you have the really tricky ones, the pure homonyms, like our friend bank, which share the same spelling and the same sound but have completely separate origins. All right, on to our second case file, polysemy. Now, these aren't imposters. These are what I like to call the long-lost relatives of the word world. So, unlike those homonyms, polysemous words are actually a single word that is just kind of branched out and stretched over time, developing all these related meanings. The key here is that you can always find that shared conceptual link that ties them all back together. A perfect example of this is the word magazine. Its original core meaning was simply a place for storage. Now, from that one root, two different meanings branched out. You have a publication that stores articles, and you have a gun cartridge that stores bullets. See? They're both connected by that original concept of storage. So we've met the imposters, the homonyms, and we've met the relatives. That's polysemy. But so what? Why is this distinction even important? Let's close this case. Well, for starters, this difference is fundamental to how dictionaries are even made. A polysemous word gets one single entry with a bunch of related definitions, but a homonym gets two completely separate entries. It also gives us this amazing window into how language evolves, showing us how words can stretch and grow new meanings from a single root. And, crucially, it really highlights the incredible power of context, which is what lets our brains pick the right meaning in a split second without us even thinking about it. And at the end of the day, it's just a great reminder that language isn't just a collection of isolated words. As the source material puts it so perfectly, meanings form interconnected systems rather than isolated units. It really is a living, breathing network. So I'm going to leave you with a challenge. As you go about your day, just start listening. What other word twins can you spot out there in the wild? Can you figure out if they're the imposters or if they're long-lost relatives? I guarantee after today, you are never going to look at a simple word the same way again.